Hi. Ooh. I was just thinking, there's absolutely no way I'd do this on my own.
What, interview people?
No.
I've done it on the football one.
On your Todd?
Yeah. In fact, I text Brett and said, "What's it like?" Because I was really nervous. And
I've realised I don't want to do it on my own. I don't want the pressure.
No, you've really got to. No. It's all on you. If they're not talking, it's just two people staring at each other.
Oh, shit. Right, okay.
Yeah. Who was I? Can't remember who I did it with. Yeah, it's quite intense, isn't it?
But was the person like someone you knew, or was it someone you didn't know?
I can't remember. now. Brett does it most people do it all the time.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how to do it. I'm suddenly not interested. I just find...
Let's do it now. Oh, hello. Hey, Joe. Thanks so much for coming on.
Who's who, by the way?
I'm the interviewer.
Okay. Hi.
Oh, hi, Joe. Thanks so much for coming on my podcast.
Not a problem.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm a big fan of your work and I love what you do. And, yeah, over the moon. Thanks so much. And what you been up to today?
I've just been working on something and then I popped on here.
Oh, right. Okay, so the way
Graham Norton's incredible.
Top five cheeses works. The way top five cheeses works is we run through your top five cheeses, and then you tell us your least favourite cheese, and we put that in the cheese bin.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Emmental.
But normally ideas sort of spring out from each cheese. Have you listened?
I haven't listened. I'm sorry. No. So what? Okay. Well.
Okay. I've done one with Paul Danan.
Hold on. We need to work out what we're going to ask Armando Iannucci.
I know. I'm being carried away then. I was kind of. I
don't want to play anymore because I'm stressed because I do not want to ruin this.
I know. So today we've got Armando Iannucci and.
We've got so much to lose.
What do I feel like? I feel like I'm about to talk to
Armando Iannucci. Like he's the one who uses
it's almost like my dad.
I just think
I want him to give me a hug and say, "You're all right, kiddo." Do
you know what I feel like? I feel like he's going to see through me and go, "You're very two-dimensional. You've not got a brain big enough to be in this industry. Go away." And then I've got to do another 55 minutes.
He came on someone's pod and spoke to the...
You're not good enough. What? You are not good enough. That's what's my... I think. And
why?
I think I'd have to go, well, he knows his stuff. I agree.
Yeah, he's like one of the greats, isn't he?
He's got the best brain, I think, isn't he? Who's got a better comedy brain than this guy, Armando?
Don't call him a guy.
Fuck everything. This is what I don't want to happen.
He doesn't want to be known as a guy.
I don't know what, because I'm not talking like me. I'm trying to be a new me because Armando Iannucci's coming on. So I don't back.
I'm nervous now.
I've realised I really don't back myself.
I feel like when we're about to meet Steve Davis.
This is not worse. I don't want to say worse because he might listen. This is more scary.
He's just one of the best, isn't he? And we're working in the same industry. And this is like meeting, I don't know, Clive Tulloch, who's like an incredible plumber.
Mm. Like the guy that invented the U-bend.
Yeah, and
and we're halfway through like a YTS course. And we've somehow got to meet the guy who invented the U-bend. And we don't know how to install a U-bend. And he invented the fucking thing. What it feels like. I'm panicking big
angry.
time. I'm panicking big time. And I'm not joking. I feel faint. I think I'll have to say to him, I'm going to need you to relax me. Otherwise, this isn't going to go well. That's what I feel like I need from him. I'm not going to say it, but I need him to relax me.
So I contacted on Twitter. He said something really lovely about the film. I contacted on Twitter. But when you contact someone on Twitter, you're feeling very safe on your sofa.
Yeah, he's just said something nice as well. So I'm going to get him on.
I'm a bit puffed up in the
Yeah,
moment.
exactly. You're absolutely
Yeah.
strutting round your lounge.
And also, I'm like, no, sod it, David. Do it. Challenge yourself.
This feels like a skydive. Oh, no.
What?
Armando's here.
I can't see.
Don't tell me that.
Oh.
Hi.
Oh.
Can you see now?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Why are you holding up your hand?
I don't know, because we're panicked.
Oh, I see. Oh,
I'm going to be totally honest. I'm absolutely out of my depth.
generally or what?
I feel really faint.
I'm going to put my hand down now. Sorry.
Okay, put it down. Is that how you think you get a signal?
Yeah. I wanted to be noticed by you, I think. That's the truth.
We're really nervous.
We're really nervous.
Stop being nervous.
Well, we've just spoken for so long about how we mustn't let ourselves down.
I've written notes.
Yeah, I have.
About what?
I'll tell you something else I've done. I've moved my camera so you don't see that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Why am I not?
Well, because I'm trying to write a film and I don't want you to look down your nose at me.
And I moved my camera genuinely because I didn't want to see a cardboard cutout of my wife in the background when she was 17.
But the notes will just say things like, he moves to France. And,
I just didn't want you to go, oh, you're a notes guy. You're a coloured notes.
Because we don't know if a notes guy is good or bad.
In my office, there are notes, there are things. Saying,
are there?
He wants the baby.
I feel bad.
Andy Riley, when we were writing, we did this show ages ago on the BBC Pride and Armistice, and we used the offices of The Last of the Summer Wine, because it was in the summer, and they were out filming, so we could have their offices. And it had all the notes up saying, Compo says, there's no way we'll get in that. Cut to Compo in a bathtub. Good. And Andy Riley got a card out and just wrote Compo bursts puppy with cock.
I remember that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
No.
But funnily enough, there were no complaints for that one.
They call it the jump in the shark app.
Yes.
Oh, God.
The bursting the dog episode. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Oh, pleasure.
I was saying to Joe, you said something really nice on Twitter, and I got all my feathers were puffed up.
No, I loved the film. I loved it. And there were lots of films that were just like 3 hours long and about not very much. And I quite liked the fact the film was short. And, it said what I had to say. I don't know what that is, but and then it just went. It just went. Bye. I'm done now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Doing more sequel. Is there a Charles universe being planned?
Yeah, hopefully on the TV.
Yeah,
maybe.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But I had a real. Do you get this? I always wanted to ask you this.
Yeah.
At the end of all the filming, editing, promo, I had a real slump where I thought, why am I bothering with this? Why am I doing this?
Well, it's a sort of, there isn't a big kind of, and we're done kind of.
Yeah.
Everyone stops at different points.
Yeah.
And you sort of say the last day of filming, I suppose you say goodbye to the crew and the cast and so on. But you see people, you're then in an edit for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then you do that thing, which is the thing like you hadn't planned, which is the going out and selling it and promoting it. And I remember meeting when my first film was In the Loop, and it was a kind of small independent film. So you do all the kind of festivals, film festivals. And I remember meeting on that circuit these two guys who had just done a short movie, but it had taken off, and they were doing that circuit. And it was exciting when we went to Seville, and there was Ben Kingsley signing into the hotel just in front of me. Sir Ben, that was exciting. But 6 months later, when we're in the Andorra festival, and they were there as well. Those two guys were there, and they just said, we haven't worked for 8
Yeah.
months. It's very nice. We get flown to these nice, like, cities.
Yeah.
And people come and watch, but we just haven't worked because we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then you get into the whole awards thing, which is there's no other industry, congratulates itself so much. Imagine butchers just as many awards across the season.
We all go hungry.
As
I've got to admit something.
Yes.
So I went to the BAFTAs on Sunday, and I was so panicky about what to wear.
Yeah.
Like researching shoes and. But you know who I looked up to Google imaged a lot to see what they were wearing?
Ben Kingsley? No, who?
You.
My God, I've worn the same.
I was. But I thought, you'll keep it simple.
Yes.
And I kept Googling. I was like, he's just gone for a black. Yeah. So I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you feel about that?
I don't feel about that.
All the reasons you've been Googled, is that what, it's come to? What you're wearing now?
Yeah. I tend to kind of wear, I'm not very, I've never been interested in clothes. You know how some people.
Yeah.
And I remember like my friends, when they had a bit of, it's Saturday, what are you going to do? I'm going to go shopping, look for some clothes. Why do that on a Saturday? Yeah. There's so much, we could be playing hide and seek and why are you going? I really don't get it. I don't understand. But I always kind of admire people who do have it sorted and have a sense of style and whatever. But I just don't understand. I don't know. Do you acquire that, or is that something is that me?
If I buy something, I feel it's a real roll of the dice.
Yes.
Like I don't know what reaction I'm going to get. You could easily get you look ridiculous that's nice. I don't know. It's literally, it could be anything. I'm like,
it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I've actually I've been away. I've been on I was in Italy, and I rang my wife, said, there's an Italian shirt that's red, because I had gone through a kind of, I always wear blue. I must wear other colors. There's a red shirt. I've spotted a red shirt. And she said, are you going to buy it? Well, I said, not now. I can't buy it.
Ease yourself in.
I'm going to buy it tomorrow. And I did. I went in to buy it the next day.
Good for you.
And then another one. And I thought, I don't know what to do about this other one. So I just, and I still haven't worn it. That was about a year ago.
One step at a time.
Yeah, I know.
I found out green jeans are a massive no-no.
Green jeans? No.
Yeah. Well, they're not bright green jeans. They're just off denim.
You look like a packet of French beans or something.
Well, that was the look I was hoping for. But it was so just not. It was just slightly green. I was like, they were very cheap. I don't like to put my hand in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I thought it's fine. And that's the reaction. I've never experienced the reaction of so much disgust with something being a tiny bit off a normal jean colour.
And it makes you then just revert back to your kind of
stay in your lane.
Yeah, but so the red shirt, I'm back to blue.
Yeah, back to blue. Yeah.
I buy if something doesn't get a reaction, I buy 3 of them.
Yes. When you found something.
Yeah. If people don't comment on it, I'm like, let's get a load of these until I put enough weight on that I can't fit in them.
One thing I did get done was my colours. Have you ever had your colours done where they kind of
no.
match? It sounds a bit weird, but actually it really works, where each person has just a tone about themselves that fits certain colours, and they're divided into kind of seasons. So I'm a kind of winter. So I'm darks and whatever. But once you know what your colours are, when you go into a shop and you see something in your colour, you just buy 10 of it and think that will do me for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't have to talk about this ever.
I knew we'd talk about this.
Yes.
I thought we're going to do the bog standard, what's your colour?
What's your colour? That's
what's
all
your season with.
Yeah. Armando, I wanted to ask you this question. I've written down some. What do you do on a Sunday when it's raining and you feel all cooped up? Because I don't like that feeling.
No.
I like that feeling.
No.
Yeah.
No, I feel a bit.
No, that takes me back to childhood and Sunday. And we had the radio on, and it was Jimmy Savile's. Are we allowed to say Jimmy Savile?
Loads of times.
On this pod, we're Savile heavy.
Where it was Jimmy Savile's kind of, he played music from a certain year.
Yeah.
And he had kind of a party background on. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It wasn't a pop. But he kept this pretense up. Funny that he kept a pretense up. But he kept a pretense up
One thing he was very good at.
for years and years. That he was a party at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. And the year was whatever, 1974. And he would always go, I'll give you 2 points for the singer and 3 points for the record. I'll give you 2 points for the record, you know. And why was he so famous? Because he didn't do it. I can't think of a single thing he did, apart from obviously that. But that was memorable, you know, as a celebrity. As that was memorable. What did he do? I grew up thinking, why is that man on the telly?
He was just about a lot, wasn't he?
Yeah,
that was his thing. He was just there a lot.
But
There's
why?
Jimmy. No, exactly. It was never questioned. He was just maybe he's just punctual.
Should we go back to the colours?
Yeah.
But yes, no, I know that feeling. The Sunday, and you know, it's school tomorrow. And I always expect.
What do you do? What do you do?
What do I do?
I like to. I always think, what's everyone else doing? Because I feel frustrated.
No, we don't. I decided not to do the kind of let's go out, let's go for a walk. I'm not a kind of let's fill it with activity. I kind of like a kind of mulling around, and really on Sunday it's sort of slobbing around. Really, It's
in your dark colours,
making your palette for the week.
You just read and you know, watch a bit of telly and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very, you know, occasionally maybe have some people over, but we don't even cook now. We just get stuff in.
Yeah,
it's why? What do you do on a Sunday?
Well, I've got 3 children. I've got 2 young children, so it can be quite.
Yes, it's full on then.
Yeah. So we normally put our boots on and go for a walk.
Yeah.
And it's lovely.
Oh, good.
So what you're saying is it's not an issue for you?
For me?
Yeah.
No, it is an issue. That's why I brought it up.
Do you wake up every Sunday morning going,
I think so.
Stressing about your Sunday afternoon?
Do you try and look confident about it once you're in front of your children, though? I've got a plan.
Yeah.
I think I like Sunday afternoons now because when I was a kid, I used to play Sunday morning football. And then the strain of it used to bring on a migraine every Sunday.
Right.
And you get a migraine after football?
Every
so
Sunday.
Did I.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
Did you?
Yeah. So my 2 to 3 hours would be on a Sunday would be my head wedged between 2 cushions so my head wouldn't move.
God.
And that was my Sunday. So when that stopped happening, I always thought Sundays were wonderful.
Did you mention this to anyone?
No one asked. That's how we weren't a close family.
Someone's got to come out. Someone's got to come out saying that, you know, showing that like in the whatever 80s and 90s, lots of kids would spend Sunday afternoon and nobody batted an eye.
Songs of praise in the background.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Sundays were all right. No offense to the 80s, but Sunday afternoon telly was appalling. I remember there's something mid-afternoon something would come on about 8, but then it's like only another half hour till bed.
Yes.
But there was nothing for kids, was there, in that?
We had Scottish football on a Sunday on ITV. It was lunchtime.
A live game?
No. It was like the match of the day.
Like match of the day?
Yeah. But what's the swearing quotient on this podcast, by the way?
More the merrier.
Okay. Only because it was called Scott Sport. And, you know, once you get beyond the big clubs, most of the stadia are quite small. So the commentators were more or less in the crowd. So for an hour on Sunday in Scotland, you'd hear what was being said, and there'd be no reference to it whatsoever. So you'd hear, you know, the commentary going, "I know, but pass it on." You go, "You shut a cunts, you fucking shut, where you fucking," for about an hour after Sunday lunchtime in Scotland, you know, and that was my memory.
Yeah.
And no mention of it whatsoever.
Well, that's what happened in COVID. They, you know, when they started playing the games,
yes,
without the crowd, and you'd hear the players, you'd hear the players slagging each other off. It was amazing. Yeah. I wanted to watch football like that forever because it was just like it looked like. I remember thinking, God, football is pointless without like.
about that.
You're just watching 22 blokes. There was no theatre to it whatsoever. Hey, Steve, you tosser.
Yeah.
It's like all the magic had gone. It's just like, oh God, it's 22 blokes running around for no reason. And then they had to put the cheering on, didn't they? 'Cause
Yes.
it looked so bad.
Yeah.
I miss looking at how rubbish it all looked.
What are you doing at the moment, Armand? I've got a thing where I'm like, do you ever come up with a rubbish idea?
And can we have it?
But do you ever get...
Well, I don't know.
Do you ever get ideas turned down?
Oh, yes.
Do you?
Do you?
Yeah.
Ah.
And you never quite know what it's going to be like until you start making it. That's the other thing.
No, but you must have done enough stuff, guy. They've got faith in you. Like, you're hardly a wild card now. You know,
I'm old now, though. I'm old. You know,
yeah, right.
I want to ring the changes, you know. I'm doing this on a
Yeah,
tube.
I was wondering.
Trying to connect.
You know? Oh, yeah, I have got time, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Your availability was shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so you do go. You have been into meetings where they go, no, we're not interested in that idea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can remember a time I was trying to do this. At one point, I had a unit at the BBC, and I was trying to get this comedy with Morwenna Banks and Rebecca Front, and it was set in a library, and it was really weird. I mean, it was quite surreal, but it was really funny. And I was being moved. BBC Two said it's good, but more BBC Three, and then BBC Three said, yeah, very good. Try BBC Four though. Four said it's the BBC One thing, and BBC One said no, it's the BBC Two thing, and then BBC Two said no, but we already have Miranda. What do you mean? Well, we have a woman.
Yeah.
That was it.
Door shut.
Oh, that's it. Oh, we've got a woman. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bad idea. So, yeah.
Have you had an idea that got turned down and then you did a load of stuff and then you took it back somewhere and then they wanted it? Have you had that kind of, after the success of something, off the back of, I know, the thick of it or something? Or
No, I did. I remember doing a pilot with Nina Conte, where like an Ally McBeal, but Ally McBeal had a foul-mouthed hand puppet on her. And we did a 10-minute teaser of that. And I do remember I'd left the BBC by then, about 10 years later, them coming back saying, oh, what about that thing? But I kind of had gone by then and I was busy on beef, I think. But yeah, no, things, it just... I'm always expecting them to say no.
Really? God.
But what I tend to do is like try and have about 3 or 4 things in various stages of being fully formed, as it were.
Yeah.
If something isn't happening, or even if there's a delay, then you can look at something else. So
we have a Armando Iannucci bar, don't we, Joe?
Yeah.
Where he said...
What?
Yeah, we do.
Like if you're asked to go on holiday, you go, well, I will do unless Armando Iannucci calls. Or...
Yeah, we were talking about how your reference point.
I mean, it literally doesn't get better than this.
It's true that you are the person we reference where you sort of go, like if they go, it's hardly Armando Iannucci. That's if something we get said isn't that.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
Do you ever sit in that chair, Armando, and go, I'm Armando Iannucci?
Look at me. Because I would if I was you.
No, I mean,
a big show.
I've spent a lot of time with that kind of imposter syndrome, thinking,
no,
this is going to be terrible. This will be the worst thing imaginable, you know, and therefore I've got to put everything into it. Otherwise it'd be a complete disaster. I do stuff with that. And it's only recently I've kind of managed to persuade myself that I shouldn't do that and it doesn't help.
Yeah. And do you, there are times when you write on your own?
Yeah, very slowly. I mean, I really love working in a room. I think it's nicer. But when I write my own, it's just much slower, really.
Yeah.
I like maybe less dialogue and more kind of print, you know, for books and articles and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I'm about to write a Daredevil comic. I did a Spider-Man last year because I used to spend all my money, as a kid, I used to spend all my money on Marvel comics, all that first edition. And then when I went to university, my mum threw them out.
Oh.
I know. And I must have mentioned it when I was in America, and they said, look, it's 60th birthday of anniversary of Spider-Man. Do you want to do a comic? So I did a Spider-Man comic last year, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm about to do a Daredevil. That's my next thing.
Are you doing a superhero show?
I'm exactly.
Is it about the making?
About the making of. So it's on the set of the making of a big.
That's great. Yeah.
Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing?
Yeah.
Is this giving us all work or is this destroying art?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a series?
This will be a series. This is an HBO show. Yeah.
Oh, and it's getting made. What stage are you at with it?
It's the writing. I'm an exec producer, which I don't quite know what that is.
I was going to ask what that is.
I think I'm kind of just, you know, I put the team together. And it was a Sam Mendes idea, and Sam's going to direct the first couple of episodes.
Right.
But and John Brown, who writes Succession, so he's show running it. So I'm there as a kind of the guy at the back with the cigar going, you're all doing very well.
Yeah. Champagne for everyone.
That's a lovely position.
Lunch. You know, and so I'll kind of be around for the pilot and stuff like that. And then hopefully, you know, it'll run its own.
Is that a nice feeling, getting stuff like only thinking of like knowing how much work goes into writing a series? Is it a nice way to do it though? You know, kind of get the ball rolling and then.
It's weird. I haven't really done it before, and it is kind of weird because part of you wants to get really stuck in.
Yeah.
And another part of you kind of wants to go, no, that's not going to help because the whole point is they're doing it, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a bit of a learning process for me as well as for them. But I think as I get older, I think it's quite nice to not be, because it's quite intense when you make your own thing. If you're directing it as well, it's an intense process. Film is like 2 years from start to finish if you're writing it as well as directing.
How do you find the director? We did a sitcom a couple of years ago, and I was going to direct the second series, and I pulled out, so I lost my nerve. How do you find that?
I'm always trepidatious about it, and then there comes a point every day. I'm always anxious in the morning, but there comes a point in the day when that switches to enjoying it, unless it's a scene that is like really not working, and what do we do? But that's not, you know. I enjoy once I've got the first couple of weeks out of the way. And especially if you're doing a comedy, you want everyone to be upbeat and light-hearted. So you need a good mood on the set, really.
Yeah. I think it's that thing when a scene isn't working, you have to think on your feet and try and fix it. And, oh, my God.
Sometimes you just have to go away and move on to something else and then just point out, we might come back to this. You know, don't destroy the set.
When you see a director sort something in the moment, which we've seen, and then it all moves on. I think we've both thought of us being all eyes on us, going, throw it out to the group.
Yes,
you know.
It's hard. It really is hard, and sometimes you have to kind of discuss it and analyze it again and again until suddenly you arrive at what it is. Now, I try and avoid that happening on set because I always rehearse with the cast in advance of the shoot. So we just book a church hall or something, something away from studios and everything. And it's just us and the cast and the writers, and we just muck about for 2 weeks, really. And that's where you have all those discussions that otherwise would happen on set when there are 500 other people standing around being paid.
Are you sleeping when you're directing? Do you manage to sleep?
Yes, I do. I actually, and I also have at lunch. I eat my lunch early on set, and then during the lunch break, I also sleep for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because but it is exhausting because you it's constantly being asked questions from start to finish.
Yeah,
you can't shout, "I don't know." We found.
Well, sometimes you can. It's about working out what questions is it okay to say "I don't know" to, as in, actually, that's such a big question. Don't expect me to come up with an answer to that now.
Yeah,
right.
But thinking about it, as opposed to, what color is he wearing? Green. And where just need any answer.
Well, with your experience of color palette, I'm sure that was not an issue.
No, I remember it was when I was when we were doing I'm Alan Partridge and I was directing. Alan was meeting a businessman at Norwich Station, and he was coming off the train, and it was like, what's he wearing? And I said, well, he's wearing a suit, but not an old-fashioned suit, nothing too trendy, off the peg, but a little bit of, and what briefcase is he wearing? And I went, I don't know. And then I carried on, and then I tapped on the shoulder, and she held up 5 different briefcases, and I just went, that one. And then that's interesting. They just need an answer. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's about working out which ones just need an answer and which ones actually it's quite important what the what the solution is.
What was the first thing you directed, and what was that like?
It was called Mouth. It was part of a film called Tube Tales. It was 9 different stories set on the London Underground, and mine one was called Mouth, and it had basically someone. It had Daniela Nardini coming onto a packed coach and throwing up over everyone, but a lot of sick vomit flying around, all set to music, some in slow motion, and for like 10 minutes, and then she gets off. She just looks at everyone, just goes, "I'm sorry," and gets off. It's up on. What
kind of sick do you want?
Well, you spend a day with the art department looking at different textures of sick.
Yeah.
The projectile is a sort of cold coffee and sweet corn, but for impact, there's a bit of minestrone and cranberry juice.
Yeah.
So,
Should I write that down?
Yes, yeah. But I remember the first assistant director, who was a very experienced. So the first AD is the one who runs the floor, calls for action, and moves up. I remember him saying, "So this is your first one," and he said, "Always look like you know what you're doing, even if you don't, because they can smell it."
My God!
You look like a director who doesn't know.
Oh my God!
So always look like you know. And I remember he then spent 5 minutes setting up the carriage with all the drunk party here, schoolboys there coming home from school, so it was getting louder and louder and louder, and set it all up, and then he just looked to me and he stepped back and went, "Over to you." And I thought, that's the moment when I've got to go, right, okay, so what we're going to do it,
Oh God,
I'm out.
Yeah.
I say to Joe, whenever I've acted, my fear is looking over the director or just glancing him or her, just going,
yeah, talking to each other, going,
oh my God,
strange gestures, making strange gestures.
Or just pointing. What is mouthing? What is that?
God.
Or they're looking at the screen. Like,
exactly.
When you're on that and they're going like this. So, we're going to take this again.
David, can we go again?
That was good.
I liked it. I'm not saying I didn't like it.
And just the talent. Can we have
Can you bring some
bit more talent, you wanker?
On screen, diction, confident in what you're saying, right words.
David will faint, by the way.
Don't. Oh, God.
We did something a few years ago, and the director Craig Cash was also playing the lead. So he said to us, just watch this. It was quite early on. Just watch this and tell us what you think, like if you're happy with it. So me and David sat there, watched it, and then they called cut. And then we sat there and we sat there and we sat there and we sat there and we sat there. And eventually came out and everyone was waiting on us. We had no idea. Me and David were going, that was good, wasn't it? And then we were sort of going, do you know what's for lunch? And I had no idea that everyone was...
Was that your first take or something?
Yeah, we just had no idea. And then a wonderful actor called Steve Spears took us aside and said, if you're behind the camera, lads, everyone wants to know what you're thinking. So tell us. Yeah. And we didn't realise that the anxiety it brings on the other side, because we'd never been on that side. So we didn't realise that everyone was waiting for us to say, great. And then they could all relax. We were just like...
And did you, in the end, say something even for the sake, even just to kind of get...
Well, we were so like, oh my God, sorry, no, loved it, sorry. Like, it was just this weird, like, I won't use the word naturals, but it was just strange that we had no idea, like, because we've been on the other side and known that, like, the director's word is like God to you, and you're like, oh my God, even if it's like love that or whatever, you're just hanging. But we didn't think anyone would hang on our word. We just thought they'll do it for everyone else, but they're not going to care what we think.
The more we analyse the kind of craft and the amount of pain that's involved in something, I think it is right that we are awarded.
Yeah, I think so. I think so
About time
too.
someone said it.
I think
actually,
so. No, I think it's right. I think if anything, there should be more.
What's it like taking an award back to your hotel room and looking at it? Is it underwhelming?
It is slightly. It is slightly underwhelming. I mean, I remember when I'm going to talk about the Oscars now. When I got for In the Loop was our first film when a script was nominated for best.
Oh my word!
The Oscars. And the call came through, and I was having lunch with some friends in London, and call came through. You've been nominated for an Oscar. So I did that thing. I rang my mum up and did that thing, which you hope one day you may do it. And I rang her. I said, Mum, I've been nominated for an Oscar. And she said, can you call back in 10 minutes? There's an ant in the boiler.
Fair enough. Sure. Yeah. 10 minutes, you say.
Yeah. That's it then, really, isn't it? There you go. In a nutshell.
What was it like at the Oscars? What's that like?
Well, I went to, we have one photo that sums up our experience, because I was on the red carpet at the party afterwards, the Vanity Fair party, and it's and there was a camera there pointing at, and I heard someone in the press back saying Armando, and I looked down and there was a camera there. So I started speaking to the camera, and the cameraman went, "Get down!" And he was filming Sandra Bullock, who was behind me, and it was actually a Radio 5 live report.
Oh.
And the microphone was down below. So I bent down to speak to Radio 5. And my wife took this photograph of me bending down, speaking with Sandra Bullock behind me. And that was the Oscars. But it is an odd experience.
On Sunday, we were on the red carpet and we were just heading to the pack of photographers.
Yes.
Like 60 of them, shouting at whoever was in front of us. Look this way, look that way, blah, blah, blah. Taking loads of photos. Whoever it was moved on. They guided us forward. And I would say 90% of the photographers just went...
The
sad thing is they haven't even got a put film in nowadays. They were just saving their arms.
Exactly.
Was Charles there? Did Charles go?
We were going to do that, and we thought that would be really eggy.
See, they would have taken photos if they'd done that.
The thing is, most people hadn't seen the films. It just would have been this bloke in a box. What?
No, it doesn't matter. Who's this? Hey, who's this?
Who's this?
Who's this Hollywood reporter here? Who's that guy?
Get out of the way. David would have got, get out of the way, David. You're in the way of the robot.
Yeah.
We
got that.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, it is. I used to have that when we started and doing radio shows and bits of telly. And so we weren't as well known, but it'd be the comedy awards, and it was a regular family tradition.
Yeah.
We would arrive at the comedy awards just after someone like Graham Norton.
Yeah.
And that would happen. So Graham Norton, go, Graham. And then we'd get out and people would be kind of...
Yeah. Yeah.
I went to the comedy awards, the last one they did before it
imploded.
All stopped happening.
Yeah.
And I was leaving with my wife. And as I left, someone tapped me on the shoulder because, they have an audience behind.
Yeah.
And she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, I've been coming to the comedy awards for years and that was easily the worst one.
Yeah. But they were all terrible. Weren't they terrible? I loathed them. And you were all obliged to go. But it's, it's a room full of comedians, and which is already a bad idea.
Yeah, 100%.
The amount of self-loathing in the room.
Yeah.
And then as the night goes on, it literally fills up with losers. So it's just people really and getting drunk and whatever. I'm sure I've actually, I remember once accepting an award at the Comedy Awards, and my mum afterwards saying, you looked a bit tired. Were you drunk?
Yeah, it's a long night, Mum.
It's a long night. And they want controversy, so they hold the food back and just ply you with alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, what year we had was sponsored by Aldi. Honest, and all the food and drink was Aldi. And it was
great.
It was there was a lot of processed food in front of me. Remember that being I'm not exaggerating a bit, but it felt like there would be like a pack of like salami or something on the table. And I was like, this is not glamorous.
No, it's not.
No. None
of these things are. But filming isn't really, is it? It looks glamorous. The end product looks glamorous. But this party we went to, the Sandra Bullock party, the Vanity Fair party, when we got in, it was horrible. It was jam-packed with people and noise, and it was just horrible. And Rachel and I just looked at her and said, shall we just go home? And we'll go to the back. So we went to the back, and we saw that's what everyone else was doing. And
they're just going home.
So they were going off to the next party.
Right.
The whole event was really designed for people to be seen in the red carpet going into it. Once they'd done that, they got the hell out and then went on to... It was just a weird kind of...
It's really bleak, isn't it?
And I did have a panic attack. One of the few times I've had a panic attack was...
What, a proper one?
Yeah. At the at the prelude to the Oscars, you're sent to these gifting suites, which is a strange American idea.
What is it?
You're entitled as a nominee to go to these things where you might get some free stuff. Now, I think if you're in the acting category, it might be a cruise or a whatever. But if you're in the adapted screenplay, it is literally grips for your dog so it doesn't slip on a marble floor.
That's worth queuing up for, isn't it?
Puzzle that helps you learn Mandarin. But we went into one at one of the hotels, and it was all jewellery and makeup, but it was a real bun fight. It was like real people who'd worked the system before. Had come literally with laundry bags and were just shoving free stuff and throwing stuff at their assistants to put in their bags. And it's so un-British. And I turned to Rachel and just went, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out. I really would say,
we'll grab a few things. But then
get the puppy grips, get the puppy grips.
But you're not breathing. Get the grips.
We'll put in a marble floor so that they're used. Just get me. And we just went out and had a cup of tea. Literally had a cup of tea in the foyer of the hotel because that was all we wanted. It was just, there was a bleakness to it.
Oh God, Yeah, I went to the NTA, is it National Television Awards, at the O2, and I made sure I sat at the end of it. I made sure I sat there for the next half hour.
Yeah.
Just want to see it all get taken down.
Oh, did you watch it get taken?
Yeah. Like everyone would get, and I just sat there. It was just us. It's like, and then they're like, "Oh, I love that."
Did you enjoy that? Was that? Did you?
I love that. This is more like it. Yeah,
that's the ticket they should sell at the end of all awards. Do you want to watch it go back to how it was before we glammed it up? Do you want to see how shit this place looks?
We turn it back into a warehouse. Do you want that?
Yeah. Do you want to see it being forklift back into the warehouse?
I do.
I like that with sets. You know, when you sometimes go to films and you see a bit of, I don't know, like blankety blank, where they've got, where it's all balsa wood and just folded into 4 parts. And I go, and there's 2 blokes smoking near it and stuff. And it's just like, this is what I give a shit about.
There's nothing more bleak than doing a live interview on Newsnight because, everywhere is always smaller than you think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always, there's something the camera does that makes it look, but B, Newsnight is, very late at night. So there's no one else there. It just seems to be you and the presenter.
Everyone's tired.
You're waiting for a bus or something. I mean, it's weird.
Oh, God.
It's kind of bleak, kind of empty.
Hello, Chatter Biscuits and Chatter Biscuits with nuts, etc. If you're enjoying this podcast, you need to get on our Patreon. You will get early access to ad-free episodes. There'll be videos and behind-the-scenes sneaky pics. It's basically a place where we all hang out together. And also, you'll be given instant access to our Discord community, which is a friendly place where Chatter Biscuits share stuff and talk to one another. It's like a nice Twitter, basically. So just go to patreon.com/chatterbix. Also, Patreon is also an app you can download onto your phone. All for the price of a coffee. Once a month, you pay a few quid, and you become a VIP Chatter Biscuit. That's what you like. Sign up at patreon.com/chatterbix. The link is in the description of this episode. There, done.
Patreon, give it to me. Patreon, I need it, girl. Patreon, give it to me. Patreon, I need it, girl.
Armando, what was Peter Cook like?
I worked with him very briefly.
It was only briefly?
Yes, on the news quiz. Are you thinking of because Chris Morris did the thing with him? Yeah, I wasn't involved in that.
Were you not involved at all?
No.
Oh.
No.
I thought you were.
How did you meet Peter Cook, though? Because that's another test.
I was a radio producer on BBC Comedy, and one of the first shows I got was when you're a new producer, you're given some of the long-running shows. So I was given the news quiz.
Right.
Occasionally, Peter Cook was a guest.
How old were you then doing that?
I must have been, about 27, 28.
Right, okay.
And how was it? Do you remember meeting Peter Cook and him?
I remember him. Yeah, he was. I remember it vaguely, actually. It wasn't.
This is like a terrible question to ask, isn't it?
Yeah, like, what were you doing on the 14th of June, 1984?
Out of all your work, I've been going back decades. Let me ask you about the one thing you weren't involved in. Well, I'm really keen to know.
What's it like playing for Stoke City?
Just tell us what it was like.
Yeah, shit.
I remember Chris telling me that when they were doing those, he had Peter Cook had a broken arm. His arm was in a sling.
Yeah, but you weren't involved. Don't worry about it.
I wasn't involved. So,
well, we've got to be honest. We were going. We cannot ask questions that he's heard before. We need to be different, and we went too far.
That's one of them.
Yeah. Oh God.
What do you think of the TV detective canon, Frank? I've never been asked that before.
Oh God.
We were really paranoid about going. Can't just go. What's it like doing parts of it? But we obviously it's difficult for us because there's so much we want to know.
I'll allow you two of them.
Two. Okay.
Well, I remember the first time I watched Day to Day.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was Day to Day. I don't know if it was a pilot shown. The day-to-day followed by Clive Anderson with Peter Cook again.
Who you know?
I'm sure it
well.
was. Yeah. But I remember that. Have I got that wrong? But that was like the most amazing hour of comedy.
Right.
Day-to-day. Do you remember when Peter...
Move on.
Are you thinking of Monty Python? Or...
What's your role in Monty Python exactly?
Miranda, thank you. Miranda, you would figure. Yeah.
Thank you for the day-to-day anyway.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we actually haven't got a question. Just going to thank you for things.
All right. That came about because I was on a training course when I became a producer, radio producer. You put in a training course with other producers.
Yeah.
And it was a news-based course. So there were other reporters there and presenters and producers. And you had to get into little teams and come up with a 10-minute program. But I thought, well, I don't want to make a proper news program, so why don't we do a fake one? Because I've got a genuine newsreader here and a genuine news journalist, and we'll make it as if it's real, but it'll all be absolutely bollocks. And it was a report about Britain's first three-way boxing match, and you know, and there's all that, and I'll cut it together like I'm actually cutting a real interview and put it together. So that's how that.
The thing is, you come up with that little idea, three-way boxing match. How do you get that idea? It's just really funny.
What's your secret?
I go to them regularly.
Did you know? Did it feel like you were making something special?
There was several things. I remember especially when we asked Steve to do a sports reporter, and this kind of whole Partridge thing just fell out. We all thought, oh, this is really funny. And it's a sort of thing people like us would like. That was it. We didn't think it would be any bigger than that. It would be a kind of niche, you know, but we were pleased with it. And it felt like we were slightly getting away from it being a sketch show or a sitcom, a new way to tell jokes, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt at that stage we were all much more media literate. So it was about time we could do jokes that were about the medium itself, you know, and people would get it. But I didn't think that, you know, 30 years later, we'd be still doing Alan Partridge.
Yeah.
You know, all that kind of thing. You know, we just thought this was fun and this is kind of exciting for us, but who knows what's going to happen next? We didn't really know anything about that. No.
And how did you meet all the people involved? Were they just part of shows?
I mean, David Schneider, I performed with it at college, at university, and I worked on Weekending, and I got Patrick Marber in to do. Yeah. Lee and Herring, I knew, and I got them to write on Weekending, and their stuff was amazing. So most of Weekending was written by them at one point. And Dune McKeon I'd used in another show, and I thought she was really good and versatile. You know, so what I quite like, and I heard Chris on the radio, you know, when I arrived in London, I heard Chris doing this fake news kind of thing. And I just got in touch with him and said,
really? Just
doing what? What was the show he was doing?
He was doing like a music show on Greater London Radio. And then, but it involved little parodies of broadcasters within it. But it was essentially a music show. But so I got in touch with him and just said, you know,
after you'd had the idea of your 10-minute pilot, and it was just, there's a guy doing a similar thing, and
so I got in touch, and it turned out we were roughly the same age. We had the same taste. You know, he started off in local radio like me, you know, and he had a tatty old car, and he couldn't park it. I was at Broadcasting House, couldn't find anywhere to park it, so I just got in the car. We just drove round and round Broadcasting House for about 2 hours. Well, we kind of mapped out what this show could be. Which is a metaphor.
When you came up with the initial idea, you were driving around because you couldn't find a parking space?
No, I arranged to meet him. He had a car. Couldn't find anywhere to park it. So we just had our meeting in the car as he drove round Broadcasting House.
Okay, that's done my head in a little bit.
Yeah.
So he was just had a little radio show. He wasn't even...
So that was his sort of...
That was his, first show that he was involved in. Wow.
First national one. Yeah. So it was quite nice because we came together as a group for the show.
Yeah.
And we kind of stayed with each other.
Amazing.
You know, so it's not like we all were a team of performers together at some drama school or university or whatever. We weren't, you know, we came for the program and then we kind of just, you know, we just hit it off. And
you do need that bit of luck to find these people that, you know what I mean? Like to all find each other is amazing, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, you got to have that bit of luck to go, oh, and then I contacted this guy who happened to be Chris Morris, who happens to be amazing. You're like, okay, because that guy could have been rubbish. You know what I mean? And you go, but it happened to be Chris Morris. That's mad. It's like...
And I quite like, there was two people, including David Conner, who just wrote this funny column in the NME every week. And it was just one of the things. I just got in touch with them, David Quantick and Stephen Wells. And so they wrote for it. So I quite like that. I kind of genuinely like being surprised. Do you know what I mean? When we're doing a show, if I'm running a show, I don't want people to write what they think I will write. I want them to write something that I wouldn't write,
Yeah. Of course.
The show has to have its own voice rather than it be me or any one person, I think,
What about writers for your latest show? How have you gone about getting there?
Well, we do. There have been writers that I've used before and other things, but we also once a year or once a season, we do a kind of blind, we ask writing agencies to send scripts of people who they think would be suited to the project. And then what we do, I take all the names off. So, and then whittle it down to like 20. We take all the names off and I just read. And
do you?
The 5 or 6 that I think seem to be the funniest, and then give them stuff from the show to write.
Yeah.
And that's a real good test, that just the blind reader, because you get a really good wide cross section of writers, really. So again, away from that one voice or one type,
Yeah.
I think more do that. I think more are doing that, really, because I think it's a much better way.
It does help. It's like having that many writers. You obviously need to be an HBO kind of show, because over here they just haven't got the budget to have loads of writers, have they?
No, and it's a strange thing, because it does mean you get stuff written faster and you can do more episodes, and I think there's more of that happening. We did it with the thick of it. With the thick of it, we did it there was a team, so there's about half a dozen of us.
And you brought people through to direct, like Chris Addison and stuff. And how was that? Because that always felt like, because I sort of found out that you'd done that afterwards.
Yeah,
and that felt like amazing, like a thing where.
Oh, but I love that. I love getting into so, and I always have like an assistant who's kind of interesting and isn't going to be your assistant in a year's time, because they're much more they've got other things to do and get on. But it means that kind of you stay in touch with them and they will, so my assistants, there are about 3 or 4 of them are full-time directors now, and several are full-time writers now. And I kind of like that. I kind of just like being around interesting people, even though their job is to get you the tea. I'd be able to talk to them more than about getting the tea and knowing that years time they won't be getting you the tea. They'll be saying, I've just commissioned by Channel 4 to write this. So but yes, and also I do think there's a mystique about directing. I don't think there should be, because I think especially in comedy, I think if you're writing comedy, you kind of know what you want to see. You're playing it in your head, aren't you? You kind of know where the funny's going to be and visually how it should look to make it work,
But it's a thing when it's not happening, or an actor's not giving it to you, how you communicate with them so they don't feel under pressure.
Well, we worked out. We talk about this quite a lot, and I know I worked out when a director was basically telling me that I was shit in such a nice way.
That's great what you're doing. I think if we flip it over this time,
it was all stuff like that, and I was coming away more proud of myself after a bollocking.
Right.
Wow. All I've got to do is flip it. Wow.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of just think it.
Yeah.
Just think that
read through you did, Joe, for him and her. What did he say to you? The guy sat next to you. Who was it? The actor?
Oh, Russell Tovey.
What did he say to you after the read through?
Oh, no, it was halfway. I think it was like you do all the episodes, didn't he? Say it was. I thought he was quite supportive. He was like, "You're doing great." But there's definitely a shock on his face. Like, this guy's going to need a bit of that.
Did you say, are you here as part of the mentoring scheme?
How are you here, mate? Really good question. But we've got a fear of read-throughs, haven't we? Of just doing the read-through and then going, we're going to recast.
They are weird things we do.
Yeah.
They feel brutal. We realised that in a read-through, if you're the actor, you think everyone's looking at how you're acting. If you're the writer, you think everyone's thinking about your writing. So we realise that whoever you are in the room, you're just worried about your thing.
Yes.
And then you go, that didn't get a great laugh. That didn't get a big laugh. But everyone's just it's just such a tense environment.
Yeah.
That I'm sure in like a later
First thing actors do when they get the script is they go through it and they just underline all their lines as if they're going, what else do I say? Do I say anything else? It's all that. Of course, they have to do it because then they need to know when they're coming in.
Yeah.
Weird thing. It's like, you can't tell, especially if you're doing an ensemble thing where the comedy's about just the mood in the room and the looks people are giving each other. And,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like reading a car crash round the table, isn't it?
Yeah.
The car advances at some speed and hits the bumper, the rear bumper of it.
That just didn't feel like a car crash to me.
James Bond read through. Again and again and again. The other one now hits him back twice, then a third hit.
Yeah.
The stage direction's like 45 minutes.
I know. Yes.
Have you ever been in a meeting, Armando, or just some situation when you felt out of your depth? You're meeting someone that you admired, or you thought,
Heavens, let me think about that.
Don't know why that popped in your head, David.
Literally.
I remember the first question being asked at one of these.
Was it Peter Cook? Was it?
You go around do this thing. You go around schools and it's stuff like that. And first question I ever got asked was, when you start a new project, how do you overcome your fear of failure? And I thought, my God, that's like the best question. I've never been asked that by any journalist. I had to really think hard about the question. Sorry, what was the question again? I remember.
Just answer the question.
Yeah, it's answer the question. Yes or no.
Stop
it's
avoiding
a very simple question. Yes or no. Well, yes, but it depends what you mean by. I did. I mean, my great comedy hero at the time. One has to.
Was it Peter? Was it?
No, Woody Allen. It was Woody Allen. I was into all the kind of obviously in the light of whatever. But some time ago, I was asked if I wanted to interview him for a magazine, for GQ or something like that, because he had a book coming out. And I was like a gibbering maniac.
So you agreed to it?
Yeah.
And you did it. You did it.
And it was good. It actually came out quite well. But But I was a bit kind of, but I've only ever seen him on the screen. It doesn't exist,
Yeah.
I don't quite know what to make of him now. It's so...
Yeah, it's tricky.
It's weird, actually. Yeah. Everything about it. The more you look at it, the more you think, I don't know what.
No.
It's all weird. All of it is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ruins a lot.
Anyway, back to those colours.
I was just going to tell my other Russell Tovey story, which I always tell. Where he was at a party and David Beckham was there.
Oh, right, yeah.
And David Beckham came over to him because he was a fan of whatever he was in at the time. And he said, like, David Beckham, he said, was like so famous. It was almost like meeting a unicorn or something. Like, he was like so overwhelmed. And I remember David Beckham had come over to him and said, "Oh, I'm a big fan." And Russell's, when someone's telling you something, you can tell it's a funny story, but they do struggle with it. They struggle with what happened in the moment. And he said to David Beckham, because they're both from Essex, he goes, "My sister gets her hair cut in the same place that your sister gets her hair cut." and David Beckham went, "Well, it's so nice to meet you," and walked off. And he unpacked that for let's say the 2-3 years I was with him. He'd be like, so he then goes, okay, so he knows that I've been talking, that I know where his sister, so that looks stalkery. Oh my God. Yeah. And it was like, it was just one of those moments.
I get in touch with my sister, tell her not to go there now.
She's going to move out of the county because you're clearly
pay off the shop and just get a shot.
Yeah. I feel like, can we ask one Alan Partridge question?
Go on, yes. Just one.
I've got a little thick of it question as well, if I can ask. Can I ask a little thick of it question?
A little sidebar thick of it question.
I was told that, and it's always stuck in my head, so I sort of hope it's true, that you said in the thick of it, like you chose the funniest take. It was always like if it was a little bit wonky or there was a bit of plant in the way, you didn't care. It was always the funniest take, even not quite understand it. You know, it's crossed the line or
yeah.
And that always stuck in my head is like you as the writer or the person who cares about the comedy, like that's the most important thing. And,
I mean, technically it's unusable because it's just
but
within reason, and I didn't care about crossing the line and stuff because in documentaries when you're filming, they're not going, oh, we can't shoot you from this angle because as it's all happening around you, you just got to run and grab what you can find, and that was the idea with that. But it's about constructing the funniest. And sometimes I'd take a line out, even though it was a funny line, because it felt like it punctured the reality of the. What was funny was the reality of the mood in the room, rather than somebody coming up with a funny line at that point.
Yeah.
Knowing when to just take stuff out when you don't need it. It was there on the script to get the thing launched, as it were, the scene launched. But once it's launched, it doesn't actually need the the stuff that kind of helps it on its way. If the funniest thing is Malcolm just staring at Ollie, then that's the funny thing.
Yeah.
It's about not being proprietorial. And I say that to all the writers as well, because we're all going to be rewriting. Don't be proprietorial in the thing you've written, because you'll go crazy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, is what's good for the show.
Yeah.
And then we'll all get the credit. If it's good, we'll all get the credit. So they
What have you thought your Alan Partridge question come, David? It's got to end on a high.
This is going to be.
He's had two.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all your work. That's all right. It's not too creepy, is it?
Can we just stare at you for a bit? Because you're going to go soon and we'll never get to do this
I
again.
can't feel lured in with the expectation of an Alan Partridge question and then to be in a way assaulted by.
Well, David's just found out you worked on Alan Partridge, I think.
No, thank you so much for all your work.
Okay.
And sometimes, absolutely no pressure, but we actually start WhatsApp groups with our interviewees.
Yes, the one.
Is this a lie? Is this
No, it's very much.
No, we actually have actually.
Yeah.
I look forward to having you frequently on my phone.
You don't have to reply, but just knowing you've seen it will be nice.
Yeah, okay. One of those I think thumbs up.
Yeah. Just have a copy and paste thumbs up to.
That's when you want the conversation, the texting conversation to stop.
Yeah.
This is over, basically. Yeah.
Fuck off. Right.
Oh God.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for coming on.
Have a good day.
It's been a thrill for us. It really has.
Yeah.
It's been very nice. I'm not thrilled, but very nice.
It's been all right, isn't it? It's fine.
Hasn't been the worst thing you've done, is it?
Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. It gets me to lunch,
Thank you very much, Armando.
Thank you for everything.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye forever.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sad.